Welcome everyone. We're here today, as I like to say, not to say goodbye to Captain Jeff Kerr, but to say thank you for 31 years of dedicated professional service to the citizens of York County, the city of Poquoson, in some ways with some of the things that he's done even statewide. And I'll talk a little bit about some of his accomplishments and what we're recognizing today. There's going to be a series of people that come up as well, Jeff, and make some presentations. I know Byron has a really interesting presentation he wants to make about your competitive nature. He has a story that really illustrates how competitive you are. So for those that are here, there's a lot of people that don't know Captain Jeff Kerr. We have some new people here from the Academy, just graduated, and some new hires. Captain Kerr was hired here, and I believe in 1993.
Yes, sir.
And is retiring as of December 31st. He started off as a patrol officer. He's been a patrol sergeant. He was an outstanding patrol lieutenant. There are many people that moved on to positions of higher responsibility in the agency as a result of the mentoring and the leadership skills that he demonstrated as a patrol lieutenant. He was a captain of the administration division, and as he finished up his career, he was the captain of the community services division, which oversees the school resource officers, crime prevention, and a multitude of other things. He was very instrumental to us being very, very close to be, I believe, the 19th agency in the Commonwealth of Virginia to be a certified crime prevention community. He got that started, and before he left there, I think most of the, 12 categories that we have to have that are certified?
12 mandatory, 7 optional, so 19 total.
So that's almost complete, and that was done mostly under his leadership. He has served in the positions I talked to you about, but he's also been a valuable member of our bike patrol in the past. He was a member of the emergency response team. He was very instrumental in CIT training, not only in the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office, but you could essentially say statewide. And for those you don't know what it is, it's crisis intervention training. It's dealing with people who are having mental health issues. And I would tell you that Jeff was known far and wide in the Commonwealth of Virginia for being an expert basically in this field, and did a lot to further the training that's now mandatory in most agencies in the Commonwealth for dealing with mental health. He's extremely well versed in that. He was also instrumental in a lot of the police unity tours that we've done on a regular basis. And for a lot of you that don't know it, he was also very involved with MS. And that was a very personal thing for Jeff. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about a little bit for a minute is that I admired about Jeff, and not many people knew that this was something that Jeff struggled with for a long time. But you never saw it. I never once in the 31 years that I've known Captain Kerr ever heard him complain about it. And I know there was times when he came to work, you could see it on him, where he was tired or if it really wore on him physically, but he was always here ready to do his job and did an outstanding job for 31 years. And for that, I give you credit for showing true bravery to be here under those conditions on a regular basis. So thank you very much for that. So we're going to get moving with some of the presentations. It's hard sometimes to say goodbye, and I hate using that word. I hope we're not saying goodbye because we want to see you come by here on a regular basis. But somebody that's been with the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office for 31 years and made the contributions that you made, you've become a part of the fabric of this agency. And I see some others here the same way. Lieutenant Brian Eckstein, who's here today. I know that you two paralleled each other for the longest time and fed off of each other, and were able to provide a lot of great guidance for the agencies. It's nice to see people come here. I see Alan Bartnikowski's here today. Ralph Hood is here today, who's right now struggling with some of his own situations. We have Jim Vollmer, who was here, came from Newport News and worked for us for a period of time. Kyle Hahn, as I've already mentioned, had an outstanding career. Kyle and Jeff and Brian were basically here about the same time. So it's nice to see all of you in the same room together. And retired Captain Crotty is here as well. So we've got some really great people here. All right. Well, Jeff, if you'll come up here. We have some preliminary things we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and present you with, this is your letter for your firearm, as you know. This is your retired captain's badge and your captain's ID.
Awesome.
So
Thank you,
congratulations on that.
Appreciate
and
you.
At this point, I'm going to step aside for just a minute. I know Major West has something, and Shelley Anderson for Community Services. If you'll come up, let's let Shelley do her thing as you're coming up, because she has something for a very, very special person today, who is Jeff's wife, Shannon.
So I can imagine what first responders' spouse's job is. And I'd like you to come up here, because I'd like to say a few words about the support you gave to your family and to your law enforcement officer. You were there for them, so he could come out and be there for the citizens of York County and for those of us working in the sheriff's office. Enjoy your retirement. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Coming
through the office. Every time he came through the office, he'd stop by my desk and ask me how I'm doing. And I really appreciated him understanding what I did and appreciated what I did. And he told me that all the time. So thank you so much, sir.
And I would be remiss right now without acknowledging his family here. Daughter Carson and Mallory are here. And there's significant others here as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here today. It's really important for you all to be here and show this type of support for Captain Kerr. Major West?
Well, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
So, this isn't a goodbye. This is a celebration of a career. And I never want to look back and feel sadness for what's happened today. I'm going to miss you. I mean, you were the first guy I was assigned to in the jail when I started working here. Me and you went to the end of the ART together. We were on the bikes together. We were on shifts together. So we grew up in this place together. It's not a sad day for me. It's a joyous day. I'm so happy for you that you've made it to retirement. Now you get to go out and live the next chapter of your life. So today isn't something that I'm upset about. I'm thrilled for you. Jeff has meant a lot to a lot of people at this agency. He's mentored so many people. He's done so many different things. And we don't have a resident insurance expert anymore.
You can call me.
He's helped countless deputies through problems with their medical insurance and billing. He's had shifts. You were the longest tenured lieutenant we had for a while, mentoring young people through their careers and mentoring young sergeants who've gone on and moved on in this career. And much of that's because of you and how much you led with your heart and how much you cared. And you were a friend to me, not just Jeff, not just a supervisor, not just another deputy. You were somebody that I was here with. You were here when I came here, and me and you walked this path. So I am so happy for you. I don't know what to do. I know you said you didn't want a shadow box. So I did something else with the permission of the sheriff, and I had a plaque made for you.
That's beautiful.
Representative of the new building and your new life. So congratulations. I'll show it to everybody. Absolutely.
Tommy, read what it says. Read what it says.
York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office would like to recognize Captain Jeff Kerr, who has served this office professionally and diligently for 31 years. Throughout your tenure, you have shown a dedication to York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office. It is with pride we recognize you with this remembrance of your time of service.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So that's for you. And along with your service weapon, we decided that we were going to purchase a Glock 48, which was assigned to you, and
That's
a little
awesome.
little bit more manageable, a little bit something nice to carry, and that's a gift for you from us.
Thank you.
So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Jeff, it's been a pleasure.
Come
I'm here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And Jeff, Captain Mark has a presentation for you as well.
Jeff.
David.
You know, I was trying to think of my earliest memory. Okay? And I don't think it's the wreck on 143.
Probably not.
I really don't.
No,
right?
you weren't here yet. No, you were here.
And I don't think it was the Harrington wreck in the van.
I wasn't driving.
Right? But you offered to pay Harrington,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
that's a funny
Or
story.
Harrington offered to pay you to
He
say
did.
you were
Yeah.
driving, right?
With 8 prisoners in the van. Yeah.
The major alluded to it. I really think my first memory was following Jeff Kerr and Tommy West working in the jail. Okay? They'd work midnight shift and I was on day shift. And
There were no
was
shenanigans.
there was always something going on, right? Christmas tree knocked over, blood on the floor. Huh?
Roast beef.
Yeah, the cook Helen took the roast beef out to cook the next day, and somebody ate all the middle out of it, right? And then flipped it over upside down. So when Helen came in, she didn't have anything to cook, right? Is that basically it? But
taught us well.
Yeah.
but you know, Jeff and I think have been friends for a very long time, and especially for about maybe 8 or 10 years when we were racing BMX, Mallory and Carson and Colton and Dylan. Dylan's in Texas, or he'd be here, right? But I mean, we hung out off duty. We chased races all around the East Coast and had a great time. And you were a really good role model, I think, for not only your kids, my kids, but all the kids that were on HLF, right? That was Heroes Live Forever racing team that Jeff ran. So thank you for all the friendship that you've given me, right? And I wanted to make you something. So for your service weapon, I didn't care if you didn't want a shadow box or not. I made a box for him
That's going on the mantle.
and his weapon.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Captain Evans, I know you're dying to tell this story, so come on.
You might be a while.
No, it's not going to be long. Jeff, I just want to thank you for your 31 years of service. And I remember meeting Jeff in 1994. I think I came here in February. And as time went on, I understood Jeff was a competitor. He was always competing against something, right? So 4 years into my career, I was driving my car on 238. I wrecked. I hit a pole, 100-foot of fence. Jeff is the competitor. He came back and he wrecked 6 cars.
No, I didn't.
He wrecked 6. You know, and then sitting in here today, I said, man, there's his wife, his daughter Carson, Mallory, and I see the competitive nature. Carson married,
Not yet.
close, right? And you said, I'm going to make Mallory marry his brother.
They
Look at
started
the
dating
resemblance.
first. No, they started dating first.
Look at the resemblance. Right? But everybody in here knows you, Jeff, and I tell you, you had one hell of a career. The friendship, never be forgotten. I hope we can continue that friendship.
Absolutely.
Buy me a gun every now and then. You just got 2. And man, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Hell of a career.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Jeff, I might have wrecked a car or 2 or 3 in my day as well, and so I don't think you're a real deputy unless you wrecked a car, at least 1 or 2.
I was trying to follow your example.
You did well. So, and Tommy kind of mentioned it. I really think you were a mentor to others. People looked up to you. You were the kind of guy that I wanted training other deputies so that they would grow up in your shadow, doing the kind of compassionate, caring things that you did. I'll always remember our times together down at my pier and stuff, and some of the other things. And you know, you were busy as a deputy, but you looked out and cared for your family, and you always talked about them, and I know you did lots of things, the bike racing and all the other things. So not only have you been an outstanding law enforcement officer, you've been an outstanding family man and father, and I certainly appreciate, and I know they do as well. So I just wish you the
Thank
best
you,
and
Sheriff.
congratulations.
Appreciate
Thank
you. Oh, Lord.
Buddy, congratulations. So, when I came here in 1999, my first job was working in the courthouse. And back then the courthouse was open 24 hours a day. We staffed the courthouse at night because we kept all the warrants down there, and the intoxilizer was down there. So my shift mimicked Jeff's. You were 41 back then, right?
Yeah, probably.
Unit 41. So when he would arrest a DUI on night shift, he would call over the radio and say, you know, I've got one in custody. I'm en route to the courthouse for intox, and I would open up the Sally port, and you know, he would come in and do the test and then carry him on up to jail. So that's how I first met Jeff, I think, was during those times where we met. And then shortly thereafter, I went to the academy, and I was in the academy, and it was like my last week of the academy, and Jeff is there for training for a week, and we have lunchtime. So he's like, hey, you want to go to lunch? I'm like, sure. I jump in the unmarked car with him. He was an investigator at the time. You remember this story?
No, I don't.
So we decided to go to Fazoli's because back then the academy was
I
right
do
over
remember.
on Shoe Lane.
It was raining.
It was, and it was the academy was over on Shoe Lane at C&U. So we go to lunch and we jump out, go in, we eat, we come back out to the car, and the doors are locked.
Oh, crap.
And I'm like, I'm still in khakis because I'm in the academy, so I'm in khaki uniform. And I was like, Jeff, where's the keys? And he's like, they're in the car. And I'm like, well, I locked the car when I got out because I wanted to make sure nobody stole the car, and the keys were still in the car. It was this old Chevrolet Lumina unmarked car. We didn't have cell phones back then, you know, I don't think. So it was the first time, my last week of the academy, I was late getting back from lunch, and the only excuse I had was the keys were locked in the car. And Jeff vouched for me, but they still made me do 50 push-ups for not verifying we had the keys and I was late. So
It was your fault.
it was, absolutely. So over the career, though, we've spent a lot of time together. We were on ERT together. We were deputies together. We were sergeants together for a brief moment because he was only a sergeant for
5 months.
5 months. And then we were lieutenants together and captains
Honor
together. We were on honor guard together for many years. We did the Unity Tour for many years. My first year with Unity Tour, I thought I was in pretty good physical shape. At the time, I think it was Bill Davenport was supposed to ride. He caught that homicide on Walnut Drive, so he couldn't go. So Jeff's like, hey, you're in good shape. You can do this. I haven't ridden a bike in years.
You were there.
John Heath was there. So 75 miles into a 125-mile first day, I was dying. And I got Jeff behind me, pushing me beside me on the bicycle, getting me up the hill. So a lot of good times, a lot of good memories. We're going to miss you. Great career, as everybody else has said. You've done a phenomenal job, and it's just been awesome working with you all these years.
Thank you for your friendship.
Absolutely. Don't be a stranger.
So everything that you've heard from the people that came up here just reiterates what I was talking about earlier, is the impact that you've had on this agency. And there's just no words to thank you for everything that you've done. So God bless you, God bless your family.
Thank you,
Like you
Sheriff.
said, don't stay a stranger, and this is your opportunity to have your little talk.
Yeah, well, thank you. Hopefully I won't get emotional. I don't have anything presented or planned to say, but really the heroes of my career are my family and my wife Shannon. We've been together 27 years of my 31-year career. I was actually the SRO at Tab High School when we met, and now she's at Tab High School kind of toward the end of her career, working as a librarian there. But you know, growing up together in my career and her career, and probably the most rewarding part of my career was investigations. Captain Crotty, where you at? He busted our balls a lot and made us better people, and I appreciated that, Frank.
And didn't like it so much at the time, but a lot of hours, and you that work investigations know an 80-hour work week's nothing. That's the expectation. We lived it. Frank, I appreciated everything you did for me. Like I said, it was a 5-year span, but it was absolutely the most rewarding part of my career. But on the other side of that, it was the hardest part at home. And Shannon, my wife, and the kids were little then. She pulled through like a rock star and has been my rock my entire career. And Shannon, I love you and thank you. Carson and Mallory. Mallory's getting ready to turn 21. Carson's getting ready to turn 23. And, you know, they had the dad's gone to work for Christmas and birthdays and Thanksgiving and all that. And it was just part of the family. And everybody in this room knows what that's like. But ladies, thank you for your support. I appreciate both of you. Ryan and David, I'm so proud of y'all. My two daughters, I actually have a 35-year-old daughter too, but my two youngest daughters, Carson's engaged to David, who's a fireman for York County, and Mallory and Ryan have been together for a long time, 6 years, 5-6 years. Ryan, thank you for coming here. I know it's not been the easiest to work here for the last 3 or 4 years as a captain's future son-in-law and the ribbing you got from that. But now it's your turn to lead that light and represent my family, and I appreciate you. And thank you too, David. You all do great things for York County, and I appreciate it. There's some of them have been already mentioned, but there's a core group of people in this room that I absolutely grew up with in this department. Richie's the oldest one of that group, and I'll never forget. Richie, I'm going to tell the story. I'm sorry. In September of 1992 was when I first had some association with the sheriff's office. And actually, Louise Adams, you remember Louise and Jack Adams? Louise Adams suggested I come apply to the sheriff's office. I had just moved here from Texas, didn't know anybody. I was working at Busch Guard Security, and she was in charge of the Royal Palace. And I was working the Gerardo concert. Remember him? And she made a phone call, and press called me the next day. I came down to see him. And by the end of the day, I was in a patrol car with Richie. And back then, nobody had take-home cars except for investigators, sergeants, and higher. You had pool cars, and sometimes you had to wait for cars, remember that? And radios, right? And I got in the car with Richie, and we were going up to Williamsburg. And Richie, you were probably, 23, 24 years old, I think, then. And old Chevy Caprice, no cage, radio jamming. And Richie said to me, yeah, they called me the rock and roll deputy. He denies it, but I'll never forget it. It was absolutely my first memory of the sheriff's office. But what I really don't forget about that day, that was the day that Hugh Brown killed his girlfriend on the Colonial Parkway. And Richie got called to Ramada Inn 1776 on Bypass Road for a fraud and wanted so bad to go to the murder. But Steve Kemmeth said, just go take care of your fraud call, and the rest is history. But that was really the first day. February 24th of 1993, Press called me in his office and said, how would you like to be an auxiliary deputy? And I said, I don't know what that means. He goes, go for a walk with me. So we walked across the parking lot of the old jail to the clerk's office. Next thing I know, I'm a deputy. And then I met Kyle, I think, about that same time. Same thing happened to Kyle just a few short months in front of me, where he was brought on as an auxiliary deputy, I think in probably November of 92. And then, let's see who else. Byron Evans got hired right on my heels. Brian Eckstein, I think you were an auxiliary first too, correct? And I think Brian and I got hired within maybe a couple weeks or months of each other. David came in shortly thereafter. Then, like Tommy said, Tommy came from Newport News Jail and came to work in our jail. And yeah, we had some fun in the jail. And what an experience. Who else I got out there? I guess that's kind of the core group of us who have kind of grown up in this department together. Not many of us left that were hired by Press Williams. Jason, you were hired by Press, correct? Right.
And then Sheriff Diggs became the sheriff in 2000. And Sheriff, you taught me a lot. And I don't know that I always appreciated everything that I was learning at the time, but in retrospect, right on the heels of everything, I completely
appreciated the hard times you gave me and then the rewarding times you gave me. You challenged me. I mean, we had some pretty good conversations over the years, and you absolutely challenged me and made me a better person, better family man, better husband, better deputy sheriff, better leader. And Shannon and I talk frequently of you, and I'm very fond of you, and thank you for the impact you had on my career. Sheriff Montgomery, absolutely the same. You've known me since I was 22 years old, and first time I met Sheriff Montgomery, I was working Yorktown, and Yorktown used to be the busy area. It was crazy busy back in the early 90s, and I got called to Station 4. Some guy with cocaine knocking on the front door of the firehouse. So I pull up in my patrol car, and this is probably July of 1993, because I think my field training was like 5 or 6 days. And they put me in a car, and this was what you heard Sheriff talk about this. Remember Operation Cooperation, all the old guys? That was back when Captain Montgomery at the time was running a drug operation in Yorktown. So I pull up, and there's this guy's name is Michael Washington. And he's out there, he is stoned out of his mind, high as hell. And he hands me a pack of cigarettes. And I look in the cigarettes, and there's an 8 ball of crack in the pack of cigarettes. Well, about that time, I hear this loud screeching noise, and this Ford Taurus comes into the parking lot at about 45, 50 mile an hour. And then Captain Montgomery jumps out and goes, "What the hell's he got?" I said, "He handed me this." He grabbed it, and he grabbed Michael, put him in the car, and he hauled ass. Never saw them again. Apparently, Michael was buying the cocaine and decided to smoke it. So that was really the first work-related thing, because back then, investigations was in this tiny little building behind the jail. It was called the Red Cross building. And I made the mistake one time of walking in the front door without knocking as a young deputy. And Eddie Bell, who was sergeant at the time, said, "Who gave you permission to walk in here?" I said, "Sir?" He goes, "Leave and knock." So my dumb ass walked out, knocked the door, came back in. But that group of investigators in that early 90s, they were rock stars. 4 or 5 of them, and they handled business so well under the leadership of then Captain Montgomery, who became a captain really young, right? 1980-ish, I think, is when you became captain of investigations. And just my whole time going through patrol, Major West mentioned that I was probably one of the longer serving lieutenants. I was a patrol lieutenant for 14 years, absolutely loved every minute of it. When I turned 50-ish, David called me one day, because David was my captain of patrol, and he said, "We're hearing you're going to retire." And I said, "I don't have any plans on retiring." Well, the reality is, if I didn't get promoted to captain, I was retiring. And but I got promoted, and you know, Sheriff, you mentioned a lot of that mentorship and leadership. Well, David had a huge part of that in me. And you may not know this, David, but all those talks outside by the generator behind the old building really meant a lot to me. And I listened and paid attention, and I really drew on David's military experience and the examples he would give. Probably my biggest regret in life is not being in the military for some period of time, but I went to college, came out, I had a child pretty young, and I just had to have a career, and that's why I started. But David, your mentorship and friendship has meant absolutely the world to me, and I appreciate that. Byron, love you like you're my own brother, and we have some pretty good conversations, and I appreciate you. A couple other people that are pretty special in my life too, other than the ones I grew up with, is John Henry, talking about the MS stuff. I've had MS for about 20 years, and many years ago I was doing a lot of fundraising stuff, and John got involved and was raising literally $20,000 in a day sometimes, helping me get through that. And John, you've been a very close friend. And then when we had the project, we worked together of getting the range rebuilt and to what it is today. A lot of fun, and I appreciate all those days and all the comments. And John's never afraid to tell me his thoughts or feelings either. And although sometimes that pissed me off a little bit, I appreciate them, John, and thank you. Yeah, but I don't know, Matt, you've played a pretty important part of my life. You know why. And just everybody that I've worked with. Brian and I, we used to compete by DUIs. And these new guys, like Noah, where's Noah? Noah, raise your hand. Noah and James, they talk about, they get like 20. We were getting 40, 50, 60 DUIs a year when there were 3 of us on the shift. So Brian and I absolutely grew up in this together, and he's been telling me for 5 years to retire, and I wasn't ready. And everybody said, you'll know when the time has come. And some things accelerated that. For those of you who don't know, I was having some medical issues, and I just felt like it was time to pass that torch on to somebody else and for me to move forward and take care of me and my health and my family. And I knew it was time. And Shannon said, let's run the numbers and see what happens. And the numbers looked right. It felt right. And Major West, thank you for making this the easiest process. I can tell you it's not easy walking out the door, and coming back in is even harder because it's just been a part of my life for almost 32 years. And anyhow, thank you. And some other people in the room, Mike Flessinger. I've known Mike a long, long time. Mike's another one of those guys that absolutely tells you how life is and the real side of life. And Mike, you've experienced some things too that make you appreciate life a little bit more. And love you like a brother too.
You too, sir. We go back a good ways, don't
we? We do. Yep. Mustangs and
Bicycles?
Yeah, bicycles. Yeah. So, but anyhow, that's all I have, Sheriff. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to really succeed and do good things. You too. I'm still going to call you Sheriff Diggs. And I love everybody here, and thank you for being a part of my life.
That concludes the ceremony. Again, I want to reiterate that this is not goodbye. This is thank you. You've heard that all day today. And I would say to the younger deputies that are here that are going to have an opportunity to hear about Captain Kerr, if you want to start modeling yourself after someone and have a successful career, I would learn as much as I could about Jeff Kerr and maybe from time to time seek his guidance. And thank you all for coming today.